Tallboys and Trackmasters is brought to you by Expert Exhaust. Expect more for your money.
MTB Shock Dock, your choice for suspension needs.
And by Cycle Mart, your motorcycle parts store.
So I need to switch up to some white beer. Truly is a tale as old as time. Whatever gets to the ripcord.
What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to episode 46 of Tallboys
and Trackmasters.
I feel legit tonight.
You look legit, buddy.
I was able to actually go out to the grocery store and pick up a 12-pack of Tallboys, legit Tallboys. So.
You be careful wielding that much power.
I'm not used to it. It's like running your motorcycle on 87 octane and then switching it up to VP 110 race gas. You know.
Yeah.
My body's not used to it.
Yeah.
We'll see how that goes.
No, watch yourself.
What's going on? Anything good, man?
I got a little bit of an early Valentine's Day present from Shiloh. I got a Honda Trail 90 mouse pad. I don't know if that shows up at all.
Man, yeah,
really
look at that.
Sweet. It's one of the vintage sale ads.
That is awesome. It's pretty that beats cool. Flowers and chocolates any day of the week.
Yeah, I'm not much of a flowers guy, you know.
Well, we appreciate everybody joining us tonight, and we have a very awesome episode. We have with us this evening Jedediah Smith of Backroads of Appalachia. This dude has lots of stuff going on in the state of West Virginia as far as off-road motorsports are concerned. Just completed their first 24-hour rally, which I got to take a part of with my co-driver Kevin Welty and Jack Sloan, Dave Hamrick, John Trotto, and his brother-in-law Sam. And that was a good experience. And Jack will be doing a feature in 4Low magazine that we'll see coming out here soon. So excited for that.
Sweet.
Without any further ado, let's bring Jed onto the stage with us there. Jed.
What's up, gentlemen?
How are you, man?
Go ahead and give y'all a cheers with my Dr. Pepper and crack that bad boy open.
Awesome. I know. I remember seeing a thing there a while back where there was this lady that was like 106 years old, and the only thing she drinks is Dr. Pepper. It's kept her alive. So
be like John Daly with Diet Coke.
Yeah.
Yeah, John Daly with Diet Coke and Cowboy Killers.
Yeah. Unfiltered, baby, unfiltered. So how you doing, man? What's going on?
Man, I'm feeling good. We just announced our summer run, and people are already just clamoring at the gates, and yeah, it's just amazing to see the feedback we've gotten. And first of all, I want to thank you two for being part of that. And man, it's been a wild last 2 weeks, getting all the media and seeing all the videos and pics that are coming out of it, and just the positive spotlight that's being shown in West Virginia right now for adventure travel. And
yeah,
wow.
Yeah, man, it
exciting.
I got a feeling, and I think we've talked about this a little bit too, that, whenever you first announced that and you had that idea, I don't think you thought it was going to blow up kind of like how it did, right?
Nope.
It was a little much there to start with, but it did turn out fantastic. And hats off to you for putting that on, because coming from our side of things, doing events as well, we know how stressful that can be.
Yeah.
And I mean, for the most part, it seemed like it went pretty smooth, right?
Thanks. I really appreciate the feedback, man. Yeah, it went as well as it could. We had some comments and and the feedback survey, but it was all stuff that we can change and fix. And 80% of people were 5 out of 5, and the other 20% were 4 out of 5. So, and everyone really complimented the execution. And I had a great team of volunteers and great recovery team, and everyone worked really well together from what I can tell and from everyone's saying. And we all made it happen. And I'm really looking forward to the summer event with some changes. And just couldn't be happier, really.
Yeah, man, that was a fantastic route too. Just the entire time that I was out there driving in the Jeep, the whole time I'm thinking like, man, I cannot wait to get back on the dual sport, because this is going to be a fantastic dual sport route.
Now, I will say, just for complete transparency, I can't take credit for all that whole route. That was a collective effort between Brian Holmes, our good friend Lanny Hoosier, myself, and even some other people that aren't, they don't have a business per se, but
right.
That I cannot take all the credit for that. Those guys did a lot of the wayfinding too. So hats off to those guys for going out, way before any of us, and put the work in to find these roads, and map them and catalog them. So,
yeah, for sure, man. Do you find yourself, when you're done with the event and all the phone calls are over, all the pictures, everything's just kind of stopped, where you're just sitting there? Like, I know whenever I put on the 304 with the help of the FDSR guys, like, a week or two afterward, you're just kind of sitting there, like the highs come down and you're like, you feel like Ricky Bobby, like, what do I do with my hands now?
Yeah.
Right now.
Well, yes. Yeah, I agree with that. Really, it hasn't stopped though since that event. I have people call me now like, will you do one for us? Can we do it here? And I'm like, the answer is yes, but we have to time it out right. Because the thing is, I don't want to overdo this either. You have to create some sort of supply and demand. You don't want to saturate the market. It's just like with Drift Appalachia. People are like, oh, we want to do Drift Appalachia everywhere. Like, no, because then it's not exciting anymore. And so we're really, like, I find myself really having to calm down and be like, timing, planning, execution, and because the other part is, like, at some point I'm going to run out of routes, so we're going to have to get creative. There's only so many roads, and there's only so many good roads.
We're very familiar with that.
Yeah,
but the thing is, I just really hope that the state recognizes the importance of this stuff. That at the end of the day, that's all I care about. At the legislative and levels, and even higher than that, even at the federal level, how important this is to our economy. Like, this stuff brings in so much money. The biggest, and one of the biggest industries in the U.S. is the automotive industry. It's $60 billion plus a year. And obviously, we're all lumped into that with adventure bikes and dual sports and Jeeps and trucks. But in the overland market, that has increased like 300% since COVID.
We all watched the explosion of that, within the last 10 years, and then things really hit a fever pitch, like you said, around COVID. I started noticing a lot more built-out vehicles running around national forests, the rooftop tents, the whole 9 yards. And I assume the segment's going to continue to grow for the foreseeable future.
Well, and that's the thing that I'm excited and also worried about.
Yeah.
Because, as you and I both know, there's only so many roads and so many trails.
Yep.
And it's how we spread that love, right? So I don't want to over tourism anything.
Yep.
I want that's one of the big things with Backroads is we want to we want to wayfind as many places so that it's not all focused on Canaan Loop, or
I agree.
Blackwater Canyon Loop Road, or
Yeah.
freaking Molly Road right here in my house.
That's something that we've touched on this podcast too, is trying to strike that balance or walk that fine line between not necessarily wanting to gatekeep, but at the same time not wanting to open the floodgates to any and everybody, because if you can't be somewhat selective, you end up getting people that don't respect your home the way that you do. They don't respect the land the way that you do. They're not a good face for the hobby. They're not a good ambassador. And that's where like a lot of negative press and stuff comes from.
I'll be the first to admit, like 3 years ago, I was at the forefront of Tread Lightly, breathing down my neck because I did something that was irresponsible, and I'll admit it.
Yeah.
But I also recognized that, and I was like, okay, well, we need to change some stuff. So I did, and now we have phone calls once a week together, and I'm glad that I have that story to share, because I can tell that story to people and be like, hey, there's a better way to do things, because there's a lot of people out there. It's just like, we'll just do whatever we want, and they don't think about the repercussions or the long lasting effects of what we're doing, Yeah. So there's a big difference. There was somebody's telling me there's a big difference between conservation and preservation.
Yes.
So conservation is meaning we can still go and explore it, but do it in a responsible manner. Preservation means like you don't touch it. You know, and I never thought I would call myself a conservationist, but here I am with you guys and the whole community. Like, we should all be conservationists because
I've said it before. You have to be a steward to the hobby as a whole. Like, any place we roll through trying to pick up garbage is one of the most basic and easy things, that we do while we're out riding. Or everybody knows staying on marked paths, not trying to cut new trail. I see people, tearing stuff up on Mon National Forest all the time. It's almost undoubtedly side by sides by the look of the tire tracks and stuff half the time. But, a lot of people don't understand what we have in this state until we end up at a point where it's all, we're barred from entry because people couldn't act right.
Yep.
Well, like we talked about in our closure episode, it seems like a lot of times the groups don't get together and hash out what the issues are. It's just they take the easiest route out, which is closure. So, I will say, it is exciting to see in our state now, especially with like the Adventure Travel Day coming up, how, a lot of these off-road groups in the state were isolated and we were all kind of fighting the same battles. So I'm excited to see everything come together now, all groups kind of fighting the same fight. And that even goes with the summer rally that's coming up. You're going to have pretty much every group represented in this state as far as off-road travel. So, that's really exciting for me to see.
Well, that's the beauty of it is we can always find common ground no matter what our hobby is, whether it's side by sides or bikes or full size. Like, at the end of the day, we just want to be in the dirt.
Yeah. And
we all need to be talking to each other about how we conserve, how we do our hobby, Yeah. So that's the big thing with the SPV thing. I think it's a great thing because when someone steps up to the plate saying, I want to register my vehicle, number one, they're putting themselves on the radar. And number two, they're putting a very publicly noticeable thing on their vehicle, a license plate.
Yeah.
That means that they are recognizing the responsibility that comes with that, I would hope. So I think that's a good thing. Obviously, it can be, again, with the wrong people using it, it can also go bad really quickly. And that was one of the things that kept getting brought up. Why can't the side-by-sides go on Forest Service roads? Like, well, the Forest Service has specific memos out there right now saying, regardless of your legality in your state or the state you're coming from, you're not welcome. And I had a 2-hour meeting with them at the headquarters in Elkins about that subject. And they did say that, they've considered options. But it's again, it's all back to how do we do it the right way? You know,
How
Not
do we
over-tourism.
how do we manage conservation instead of going the route of preservation?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Jed, let's dive into the recent rally here that that took a part of here. So how did that idea form? What kind of inspired that to take place? I'm curious, the behind the scenes stuff. What was the thought process in putting the route together? And what did you learn in the process of, kind of putting the whole thing together?
Well, I'll tell you that the whole idea was a joke. Last year I did that thing where I took my Jeep, went from Charleston to Seneca Rocks because a couple people said I couldn't do it in 24 hours. I did it in like 13 hours and 30 minutes, and I was like, at that moment when I pulled into Seneca Rocks, the light bulb hit me like, if I can do that in 13 hours and 30 minutes, then sure enough, we can do end of state to end of state in 24. And, obviously with the Trans Virginia Adventure Trail from Lanny, and then, I'm at from Brian, there's also the Allegheny and Shenandoah Overland Trail, and then some stuff that I mapped, for me down here. I was like, dude, there's plenty of options, And so I started talking to friends about it, and then come July 1, that's when I officially started with Backroads of Appalachia. And I'd been like toying with the idea, and then finally I just put a proposal together, and I sent it to my boss, and I was like, this is what I want to do. This is how I'm going to execute it, and he reviewed it. Our board reviewed it because obviously there's a lot of liability placed on BOA.
Yeah.
But they all liked it. It was pretty simple, really. At the end of the day, it's just you're signing people up and you're putting a route together, which we have plenty of routes, and then just kind of working the logistics of with the signs and things like that. But I guess the biggest learning moment for me was how different people's paces are.
Yeah.
and really trying to find that right balance of gnarly versus cruise.
Yeah.
And that's what I really have tried to consider for the summer run, was making it just right and not overly done. Because I always want people to drive their vehicles home.
That's just something that's really difficult to do, is trying to split the difference. Of course, the ride we put on, there's an easy loop and a hard loop, which makes it significantly easier. But you always have the hardcore guys will complain that it's too easy, and then the more overland oriented guys will say, well, these couple sections were really difficult. I was dragging skid plates and taking on some body damage. Yeah, that's what they're for. Exactly.
I laughed so hard. I kept checking back, like on the discussion part of the event, to see people putting up pictures, videos, or whatever. And somebody had put a picture up of one of the creek crossings down in Sanderson, and we all kind of got there in the middle of the night. And I think the caption was, "This was the never-ending swamp of sorrow and sadness," and I got a kick out of that.
It ain't that bad.
Really
Come on.
Yeah.
Dodge Neon went through there.
I know. Yeah. What was it? Leon the Neon. So we got me and Jack and John. John had some issues at the start. He had a rear brake caliper lock up, so we lost a little bit of time there. But eventually, we got over onto Government Road beside Shaver's Fork, headed down towards Kelly Mountain, and I was leading at that point. And the Dave Hamrick, who was riding with Jack Sloan in his Jeep, got on the radio. He said, "James, is your Jeep running right? Like, I smell raw gas really, really bad." And I'm like, "Everything's good on my end, man." I was like, "I smelled it as soon as we got on the road." So it wasn't even a mile up the road. We caught the Gambler crew. And we were right behind the Neon. And I remember John getting on the radio, and he said, "What in the world is that in front of you, James?" I said, "I believe that's a lifted Dodge Neon with a giant hitch in the back." So Those guys were a hoot, man. We followed them all the way up the other side of Kelly Mountain and into that was that Rich Mountain Road or something that drops down into Cass? Yeah, the snow. We followed those guys a long way down through that way. So that was a hoot to see that.
FSR 92 and FSR 235.
Yeah.
Yeah, those them guys are coming back. They're going to do another outlaw class, and I said, whatever, man. That's. I'll let them do their thing. They're their own party.
I was cracking up. We were trying to figure out what was on top of all their vehicles, and when we got up on there, we saw it was like Pizza Hut delivery driver signs. And we got up on top of that one mountain there in the snow, and I stopped and asked the guy in the neon if I could have a slice of pizza. So.
That's why you said we want our pizza.
Yeah.
Or somebody said that.
Yeah,
I'll tell you what, them boys, they don't play. That's for sure. They get after it. And I did a gambler with my friend Sean this past September, or yes, was it September? I can't even remember now. And that's when I actually really started talking to you about the planning of this thing. Was like our goal was to go from Seneca Rocks to Charleston and use the big one route that I had done like a year ago, and it just didn't work out again because people's paces are different. You know, we're in vehicles that don't make sense, and I was in my element, having the time of my life, going over everything, and of course, we're dragging neons. But that was when Sean and I definitively said we are doing this again, and we're going to do it like we did. But those guys, so the gambler guys, I don't know if you guys know how vast their network is.
Oh yeah,
but it's huge. It's impressive. It really is. So if you ever have an opportunity to do a gambler event, even if you have a vehicle, it's not a gambler vehicle. Just do it. You'll have fun.
I'd love to get involved in one at some point.
They have bikes too. So
I think the Trail 90 would make a great gambler bike.
I like that thing too much to put it through that. I'd sling my Kawasaki through it though.
Man, the first bike I ever had was a 78 Suzuki DR100. 6-speed. Oh yeah. Had no guts, but by golly, you get her up about 60 mile an hour and it'd stay there. But that bike, I wish I never would have sold it. One of those deals. I wish I never would have sold it. But that bike would be cool for a gambler because by the time I got rid of it, it had no fenders. It lived a life.
So, Jed, what were you doing while the rally was on? Were you just kind of following along? Were you at your house sleeping in bed while all of us were dying in the middle of the night? What was going on?
So I was leapfrogging along the route with you guys. So there were some sections I ran, like I didn't do Canadian Loop or anything, but they're like Government Road. I did Government Road, did like all the Forest Service roads. I got down to like the Scenic Highway, and I made a decision at that point to send my friend Tony to Williamsburg to check in with them. And then my friend Lance in that white Toyota 4Runner, we decided to go to Gully Bridge and just skip over there. Yeah. And we caught one of the side-by-side guys. We hung out with him for a minute, and then we waited for some more people to pass by. And then after that, I was like, all right, I'm going to go to the hotel because it was like 1 o'clock at that point in the morning. And my boss, Eric, was already at the finish line waiting. I was like, I've been up since, the day before, like 4. And I was like, I need to get at least a couple hours so I'm semi-functional. So I did get a little bit of sleep, and then Eric started calling me, and love his heart. Yeah. He was like, how do I work this guy? How does this work? But anyway, ended up, I got a couple hours kind of hit and miss, but then I was talking to my recovery team. We had a group chat going and kind of orchestrating, where people are and making sure no one's dying and that kind of stuff. And so, hung out there for a bit, and then my wife showed up, and we hung out and just talked and kind of debriefed really and made a plan for the day. And I think I rolled out there left the hotel 8 and got there at 9 or something. Watched most people show up. So first freaking dude in was it Eric Nestor in that side by side? Yeah, Eric. That dude came in at 15.
Yeah, we I think we lost you there for a minute.
Can you hear me now?
Yep, got you. Yep.
What was the last thing you heard?
You talking about Eric and the Honda Talon there?
Yeah, Eric and the Honda Talon. He came in at like 15 hours. When I got that text, that dude showed up. I was like, "You're kidding me, right?"
I know. We were, gosh, I don't know. We may have been like just got through Molly Road, and I think we were starting to work our way and drop down into New River Gorge, and my phone decided to completely crap the bed right at the start of the event. So
oh no,
I lost all of our tracking on that side of the phone. I lost all the music that I had downloaded.
Oh no,
that's even worse.
Yeah, my co-driver Kevin, he just he had Pandora, but it was just we were getting spotty service once in a while, and so music was cutting in and out. But he did get just a ding of service before we dropped down into New River Gorge and said, "Hey, there's a guy on a Honda Talon just finished." I'm like, we still have like almost half the route to go. Like, that is insane.
So that was one of the things I'm going to have to really, for the summer run, I want to get one side by side, one bike, and one full size to pre-run the whole thing. I don't want me to do it. I don't want it to be me, because I know how fast I can go. I want it to be someone else that is very just kind of laissez-faire.
Mm-hmm.
That isn't going to treat it like a freaking race. Or that we have like real-time data on about when people are going to get to checkpoints and stuff.
Yeah.
Because we had no expectation of that dude going that fast.
Yeah.
And then it's not like he was speeding. Like, it's just those things soak up the freaking terrain.
Yeah.
They don't have to go 5 mile an hour. They can go 25.
That's I was explaining to my fiance what it's like. We used to do a lot of Jeeping and stuff, like when we were in college, and trying to explain to her the difference between hitting something on a bike. Like, what would take me over an hour in a Jeep at like 5-10 miles an hour is just completely smoked through in like 5 minutes or something like that on a bike.
Yeah.
That's something that I don't want to say struggle with. We experience every year that we do our hard loop. Is we have like A-class riders absolutely blaze through everything that we set up and finish like way ahead of everybody else.
Right.
It won't even be lunchtime, and they'll be back back at camp loading it up and hitting the road.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I fully expect this summer that bikes are going to do this thing probably, I don't know, 16 hours.
I would say that's probably a good guess. We're looking at what, roughly 350-ish miles, probably
it's
somewhere.
It's right at 440. I added some stuff.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, that's a little bit longer. I know, like in a typical day for us, if we do our normal, say from Fairmont to Canaan and back, that's usually about 190 miles or so for us total. Taking all the breaks that we do, maybe pushing the pace here and there, but not really killing ourselves. Like, we can kind of do that in about 9-10 hours. So
nice.
If we know going in that this is, a rally style event and we're not going to be stopping a whole lot other than for gas and stuff, I'd say that's a pretty good estimate for the bikes. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm thinking, 16, and honestly, side by sides are probably right around that point too.
Yeah.
16, 18 hours for side by sides. Full size vehicles, you're probably about 2 or 3 hours plus.
Yeah.
So 20, 21. Provided no one has mechanical issues, obviously. We had 8 DNFs. I think 3 of those were mechanical failures that they just couldn't. There's nothing they could do and be still stay in it. And then a few of the other remaining were just they got tired. And that's the thing I told people at the beginning of this: like, if you get tired, don't kill yourself or someone trying to finish.
Yeah.
And that's the thing I'm going to tell everybody again: like, you're not winning money. This is for fun.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I've seen what James Wright will do for a plaque.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know what I would do for a plaque.
$40,000 to $60,000 a year, and countless medical bills, parts bills. Yeah, to get a $5 wooden plaque at the end of the year.
Yep.
We have to be built a little different, a little dumb to do this style of stuff. But
Different.
Just from my point of view, this is the first time I've done any type of rally event or anything like that. And it's really the first time in the state that I can remember something like that's taken place. But it really did scratch an itch for me, coming from that competitive side of racing. I don't do it anymore. I don't really, I take my Jeep out once in a while with the guys on some local stuff, or hit up Good Evening Ranch once in a while and some off-road parks. But that was probably the hardest I've ever pushed that Jeep of mine. And it was a different type of like satisfaction and sense of accomplishment that we made it to the end. And I got such an adrenaline rush towards the end of it because, Jack and John, they didn't have to, but they pulled over after they started and kind of waited on me and Kevin to catch up with them. So that kind of put them behind anyway, as far as finishing it in the 24 hours. But they were running low on gas and got on the radio, and they asked me what time did I start, me and Kevin. I was like 11:08, and it was 10:17 at that point. We still had 34 miles to go, and you're like, oh, that math checks out. And it's like, well, not when you're doing dirt and rough ass gravel roads to get to the finish line. If you're on highway, yeah, but it was a rush to like whatever tiredness I had, where I couldn't hardly see straight, and I felt like my organs were shutting down at that point. That all went out the window, and it's like focus. Kevin's navigating for me on the side, and I feel like Travis Pastrana. Let's do some rallying here now. See if we can make up some time. Yeah. And in addition to that, we weren't trying to be complete buttholes we come up on a house, we'd slow down. We weren't trying to and that just from my point of view, I saw a lot of people were doing that towards the very end. Like when we could go fast and we knew we were safe, we went fast, and then we slowed down for creek crossings, slowed down for the houses and everything. Yeah. But yeah, it was such a rush. We got on, was that Route 2, I think, coming into Point Pleasant towards the end right there. We had 6 miles to go, and it was 11:05. And Kevin and I looked at each other, was like, we gave it our best, man. We gave it our best. We're still going to finish. And I think we did 24 hours and 12 minutes. So,
it's great.
With everything we had going on, we were excited about that.
Yeah.
Just from my point of view, I was super impressed with the Subaru guys. It was almost one of those deals where, I forget what NBA player it was, but, he got completely schooled for it. And it was like, oh, I'm sorry, I was not familiar with your game. Kind of one of those deals. Those guys absolutely killed it, man. I was super impressed with the Subarus.
What we put them in the very back, and one of them finished like second.
Yeah.
Or third. Or I was like, yes. And I knew that they would do that. So that's why we did that, honestly. Because I had a feeling after being at a Gambler and seeing what those Subarus do, I was like, yeah, those dudes I'm going to put them in the back for a reason, because I want them to go through the pack.
Yeah,
they did.
It was very impressive. And like I said, man, kudos to you. I had an absolute blast doing that. It was something completely different and kind of out of my realm a little ways. But, that rush that we got towards the end, where it's like, we were joking with each other on the radio. I don't remember what TV show it was off. I was like, man, if we don't finish this in 24 hours, we're going to lose the shop. We got to hurry. We got to keep going. It was a good time.
Thank you, man. It was so cool. Like, I'll tell you, I'm a big baby. I cry a lot, actually. I'll admit it. And whenever I seen everybody pulling in that morning, dude, I lost it. Like, I was like, all these people were here to support this cause and to have fun and to be in West Virginia. And some of these people drove from Florida, Maine, the Midwest. There's everywhere. I mean, pretty much all up and down the East Coast, and the Midwest was represented. And
nope, we lost him a little bit.
Words to explain that feeling of seeing all those folks show up. And I know for you guys too, like being out there on the trail with all those people from these random places and like cutting up on the radio and laughing and joking, like, you at the beginning you're kind of separated, but at the end, like you're blood brothers and sisters.
Oh yeah, yeah. The right at the very end, the guys in this, I think it was that, I can't remember. It's like an Outback, all tracks, whatever the stock lifted kind of off road Subaru was. Those guys were right behind us, and he kept going on the radio like, "You got a good pace. We're here with you. You keep it going. We're not going to pass you. You're doing good." Yep. And then we got on the hard top, and it said, "How much time you got left, Red JK?" And I was like, "We're not going to make it. We got 4 minutes to go. 7 miles or whatever it was." I said, "What about you guys?" We still got 15 minutes. I said, "Hammer down, slingshot engaged, go around us, baby." And
Yeah.
I think they did end up finishing right before the 24-hour mark. So that was
You're
cool.
talking about Aaron Justice, man. He's
Yeah.
in a wilderness.
Yeah.
So I went out with him right after he got that thing. He had just put the skid plates on it and just put a little bit more lift on it. And we did that rocky section of TDC near Hominy Falls
Yeah.
and just walked all through it. I was like, bro,
Yeah.
that thing is sick.
Trevor, what I know you got some questions for Jed too. Yeah.
Yeah. Talk a little bit about your charity and your outreach. Kind of the ins and outs of that.
Yeah. So for this event, we partnered with the West Virginia Children's Home Society. They're a statewide nonprofit that supports foster needs and places kids in foster care. I've known a couple of people that have worked there for several years, and when I was trying to think of a nonprofit to partner with, it just made sense because it was attainable. And just me personally, like I grew up in a household that there were some rock and roll party moments, and I could have very easily been one of those kids too, and so that made it even more meaningful. But the thing with each of these events, we want to try to partner with a different nonprofit each time to help fundraise for different causes.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, the summer run, we're partnering with two of them, and they're going to split it. And they both focus on helping parents that have lost children. So they help people that have lost kids from the age of 0 to 18, and provide counseling or care to them in the worst moments of their life. And for me personally, how that has affected me, my wife and I actually lost a son 3 years ago, and both of them came in and with shining armor and helped us out, and helped a lot of people out once I got involved with them and seen the work that they do and how often people lose a kid or have a stillbirth or whatever. I mean, it's just like mind blowing. I was like, man, this is not good,
Yeah.
And so anyway,
That's a cause that a lot of people don't even think about donating to. That's not something you typically see. The fact that programs like that exist and are getting enough donations to keep them around, I think that's huge for the community.
That really hits home with me as well, because I got twin boys that were born at 23 weeks, and they had to spend 106 days in the NICU in the middle of COVID. And so all the proceeds and profit that I get from doing the FDSR 3 or 4 detour, I send back to the WVU Children's Hospital, just because they helped us out so much. So yeah, it is really satisfying. Yeah, if you need some of those services, any way that you can give back, in my opinion, is something that you really need to do. So yeah, hats off to you, man, for that. That's fantastic.
Thank you. Yeah, it's and that's the thing too, is trying to find nonprofits that don't normally get a spotlight.
Yeah,
because there's a lot of them out there that do amazing work for really truly needed things, and they just don't. I'm not saying I have a platform or anything, but we have a following, and I want to help them too.
Yeah, I understand that completely.
Yeah, that's great, man. What are some things that you learned from the first event that you're going to switch up and try to implement into the summer run? Maybe not things that went wrong per se, but maybe something you saw that you'd like to do a little bit differently.
So this one, we're going to have 4 to 5 hard checkpoints that will be, you were required to go through them and give your driver or vehicle number and your time, or that time that you pass through them. Number 1, so that keeps people in check. It helps us keep track of where people are. The other thing is, I'm probably going to go away from embedded recovery assets. It's just a big ask for. I think it's hats off to all my recovery team because they stuck it out. But Oh man,
Yeah.
I don't want to ask them to do that again. So we're going to have some stationary recovery assets that have shifts, and they hang out and have a campfire and probably camp in their tent. And they'll work with the checkpoints to coordinate efforts if needed. And really, we're just going to tell everyone, look, you need to take care of your brothers and sisters while you're out there on the trail.
Yep.
I think people will do that. So, and then for this one, it's a loop. So we're starting and ending in Hinton. That was one of the complaints, was some of the people that trailered their rigs in, they don't want to have to go back and get their recovery rig or their tow rig. I can't say that every event's going to be a loop. I would love for them all to be a loop, but there will be events where we do end it, point to point, and that's it. But we'll just have to plan. But for this one, it'll be a loop. We're going to do registration or waivers and donations and stuff the day before. And we'll have like a 3-hour window to do all that so that it's not like 90 minutes in the morning.
Yeah.
And we're going to have like a driver's meeting at 6:30 in the morning, and the first vehicle out will be at 7:15. So not
good.
11.
Yeah. I like that. That was one thing that, really wasn't really, disapprove of it or whatever. But, I got to ride through a lot of stuff that I'd never been on before, but, it was in the dark. It had been, kind of cool to see that. And I think this starting earlier, I would agree that's going to be a little bit better, I think, for everybody.
The only caveat to that is part of the route does go through a state park. So I'm going to have to be really hard on folks about noise discipline. Granted, it's only like 4 cabins along the route and 1 primitive campground, but we're going to probably buy the primitive campground out, and I'm just going to use that as a checkpoint. But
what you're saying is, for the motorcycles anyway, there's not going to be any KX 500s with no silencers allowed to compete.
Yeah, James.
What am I supposed to run?
Yeah, so the cabins I'm not too concerned about, but that's why I was talking to my boss today. I was like, what do we do about this? And he's like, he asked me how many sites it was. And I was like, it's 12 sites, and then literally the state right of way goes right through the middle of the campground. And it's Watauga State Park, I'll just tell you.
Oh, okay.
But
we kind of skirted the outskirts of that on the previous run, right? I remember seeing it pop up on guys. So okay.
But he was like, well, let's just if they're all available, buy them all, and we'll just use it as a checkpoint. And if people need to stop and camp because they're tired, let them camp.
Yeah,
it's free camping.
Yeah, it's free real estate.
It's free. So check. Early check-in on Friday, early driver's meeting, early release, checkpoints. The reception will be earlier on Sunday so that people, if they need to go back and do life, they can do that.
Yeah, that'll be good.
Friday evening, we're going to have like a community event. So I'm working closely with the city of Hinton. So after you sign in and do your that admin stuff, there will be like a food truck and vendors and music and, the whole festival vibe. That's also the last weekend of their water festival. So there's already going to be people in town anyway. So they were just like, well, let's just combine it and just make it one big thing. And I was like, sure. Yeah. And then Sunday, everyone will come back into town. We've talked about getting like a massive tent and just on this huge like reception hangout. We'll see how many people we get. Might be able to do it in. There's a couple buildings down there that have pretty good capacity. So we'll just see what happens.
Cool. Well, I'm definitely looking forward to it, man. That's right up our alley. I know. I don't know the entirety of the route, but I know that me and Trevor rode a good bit of it before. It's a good area, and I'm definitely looking forward to that. Hopefully I'm not too burned out from the 304 the weekend before, but we'll definitely pull through and be down there.
Man, if I'm available for that, I'd love to come up there and capture that video and help you guys promote whatever.
We'd love to have you.
Yeah, for sure.
Maybe I'll have a bike then.
There you go. You need the what Tyler Vincent's still selling his DRZ 400, isn't he, Trevor? I think
it would make a good bike.
Yeah, Man, I
Tallboys
want a
and
T7 so
Trackmasters.
bad. That's what I want. Either the T7 or the 800 Cove.
Oh man, I literally saw a post on Instagram today of the guy that I don't know if it was Gary or he hired a guy named Joe Henner. So this dude was kind of a unknown guy. I think he's on the East Coast, and he was taking all the GPX bikes and making hot rod parts for him basically. And he did such a good job at it that Gary Goodwin was like, "Hey man, why don't you come work for me and we'll just do this in house." So
Yeah,
pretty sure it was a video of him riding wheelies on that 800 Cove around the parking lot there. So yeah, it sounded good, man. Yeah,
good.
we'll see how it pans out. Trevor, anything else, man, for Jeb?
That's pretty much all I had. We ended up touching on a lot of the notes and stuff I had taken down to ask you. And
Cool.
my only other point that we didn't hit on, that's what obstacles do you see to the future of the hobby?
I think we touched on it kind of as that over tourism thing. Is just really, we need to. What I believe in my heart is we all need to be working together to like catalog and map this stuff so that it's more publicly available, so that people aren't going to the same freaking spot every time, and doing a good job about encouraging people to not just go to the same spot. Like, hey, there's a cool thing here. There's a cool thing here, and also, there's a lot of opportunities too. Like, there's properties out there that people are looking to develop into off-road and places to ride and recreate. I've gotten a few phone calls about those, some things that are being developed here in the state, and I can tell you firsthand, there's some big things on the way for our hobby in general. I know and James, is something we've talked about. Willing for Hope at Ace Adventure.
That was going to be my next point. I definitely wanted to touch on that before we got off here today.
So we've been working closely with Ace and Chris Collin and Jerry and Ernie and those folks up there, and developing. We're not going to do an off-road park. It's not going to be open every day, but there will be options for special events like Willing for Hope, or you say if 304 Detour wanted to make that home base one year or something. There's stuff to do there, and also the great thing about Ace is there's also cool routes around there. So
yeah,
that's kind of the thing is like. In my mind, and this is something that Thomas Burton and I have talked about with West Virginia Overland, is creating these little like destination camp areas, and then having all these little routes that are publicly accessible, kind of spider web in between. So it's like it's that love out,
Yeah, we got a friend of ours, Mark Wolf, who's gracious enough to let us run his property, Wolf Haven Tree Farm, or as it's affectionately known in our group, What the F. He's actually it's insane for motorcycles, but he's kind of developed that property a little bit. He's got a really cool yurt that's available on Airbnb now, and it's something I've tried to work on, and I've been kind of lax in it. Honestly, I've been trying to do a little bit better, but we got a lot of routes in our area too that can utilize his property as like a base camp or somewhere to stop for the night and hang out. So yeah, that's great to spread the love and combine a little bit of everybody's hobbies together.
Well, something else, like literally the night before, 24 hours, I literally was sitting at the table in Yoakum's on a conference call with the recovery team, and this dude sat behind me. I got off the call and he was like, "What are you doing?" I explained it, whatever. And he's like, "Dude, I own this property literally right behind Seneca Rocks, and I want to make it an overland destination." And I'm like, "Well, let's get in your truck now and go." And he took me up there, man, and it's sick. So there's a road that goes in between Seneca Rocks and there's the other ridge. There's that little cut in the valley.
Mm-hmm.
And literally his property looks at the back of Seneca Rocks.
Oh, wow.
Cut. And it's not a huge property, but there's enough room there. You could park 100 rigs. And he told me, again, back with conservation, like he likes motorized recreation, but he also understands the conservation aspect of it too. And he was like, we're all talking the same language. And I'm like, whatever I can do to help you, like, let's do it. So big shout out to Fourth Moon Camp. He's on Hip Camp and something else, but he's got Instagram and stuff too. But super cool dude, and that's the thing. Like all of us, we all have our own platforms. Like, don't be afraid to reach out to us and be like, "Hey, I got this place. Like, let's talk about it."
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, the worst, give them 30 minutes of your time. Like, hey, how can we all work this in to something? Whether it's an actual event or just a place that people know about to go. So that, again, spreading things out. And then the whole state benefits, the whole region.
Right. That's awesome. Let's go over some of these dates so that everybody watching can kind of maybe start to put the stuff on their calendar here.
Yeah.
So the summer run is the last weekend in July, and it's the weekend after our ride. So that's what, the 27th and 28th?
So 26th to the 28th.
26th.
27th is actual drive day.
That morning is the ride. Yeah. Okay. And then we're excited. FDSR is partnering up with you guys and Wheeling for Hope to do another event down there, including the motorcycles. And that is the last weekend in September, right?
Yes.
Okay. So yeah, looking forward to that. We don't, the 304 is our bread and butter, but I'm excited to put on another event like that. It's going to be kind of laissez-faire. We'll have some routes available for you to download and kind of go at your own pace out of there. But great, fantastic area for riding. You couldn't ask for a better spot. So
just something to let you know about too is we may have already talked. I've done said it so many times I don't even know how I've told now. But so this gentleman, Tom Zielinski, he is a board member with Tread Lightly. He has worked in the industry forever with SEMA and PRI and has done a bunch of things. And he runs something called 4Fest. So 4Fest is a manufacturer-backed event series. So Toyota, Jeep, Dodge, Ram, GM, blah, blah, blah. They all back him, right? And they all use his events to debut and showcase their products and their vehicles or whatever that they do, whatever it is that they do. And I was talking to him back at Tourism Day, and I told him about Wheeling for Hope, and because he was looking at Ace to do his own thing, and I was like, well, dude, why don't let's just talk about Wheeling for Hope? And he's like, what day is it? And I told him, and he's like, that's perfect. He's like, that's in between dates for us. And he's like, and again, going back to that, not overcrowding, like doing it strategically. And so, yeah, myself, Michelle Rouser, and Tom and his friend Aaron, we're on to join forces and do this thing together. And Tom, he has a moto background because he actually asked about motorcycle stuff, and I was like, I got a guy. Here's the guy right there, James Wright. And now Trevor, I got a guy. His name's Trevor too.
You got two guys. You got more guys than you know what to do with now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm very curious when the registration officially opens for the summer run, which is February 15th, correct? So a couple days from now.
Yeah. So 2 days from now at 7 p.m., I will turn the Google form on for people to fill out and do their submission. I will tell you that it will take some time for us to sort through those submissions and pick the right ones, because we want to make sure that we have the right equipment and people to do this thing. So it's very imperative that whenever you answer those questions on the Google form, that they are detailed.
Yeah.
So the more the better.
And I will I'll go ahead and tell everybody on the bike side of things that I am part of the picking process. So if you're a dual sport guy who's made me mad in the past, you're not going on this ride. I'll tell you that.
Just ask me next time, dude.
Yeah. Thank you, James, for volunteering to help with that, man. Because I know some stuff about bikes, but when it comes down to the nitty gritty details, I don't. Heck, I don't even know everything about full size vehicles, to be honest. I'd like to think I do, but I don't know everything.
I would say just, from doing what we do on a regular basis, if you are planning on signing up for the summer run as a bike guy, make sure you're self-sufficient. You want to make sure that you have oversized tank, a good comfy seat. You're definitely going to need knobby tires. Don't even try to bring 50/50 tires on this ride. You need full knobbies. You know, and be a decent rider that can maintain a good pace. And, you know, self-sufficient is going to be the biggest thing. The one thing I know I want to talk to you about, you know, kind of off camera a little bit is I think it's going to be harder for the bike guys to be able to communicate on the radio in real time.
Right.
That's going to be an issue that we're going to have to work through. But yeah, man, I'm looking forward to it and I know that as soon as this opens up, you know, you start looking through all the lists of registrations and be like, man, it's like the entirety of FDSR has applied to come and do this ride. It's going to be fun, man. I'm excited about it.
Well, in regards to the comms issue, I've thought through that too. In regards to, you know, what do bikes do with radios, and I think really the bikes at the end of the day, they are their own person. They're a navigator, and if they need help, then that radio is there for them to make an emergency call, and that's it, really.
Yep.
And that's why the checkpoints are important, because then that's our way of keeping track of everyone.
Right. Yep, for sure. Trevor, anything else before we go to some comments and stuff, man?
Just sitting here giving some serious consideration to get my my XJ line back out and maybe try to run one of these at some point.
There you go, man. All right, we'll let's go through some comments and then we'll get on to some had to layer down here in a minute. Let's go through the first couple of ones here. Lots of them tonight. We appreciate everybody tuning in and staying with us there this evening. Let's see. We got one. Let's see, somebody was saying to tell that dude to quit harassing the locals.
That was Laney Hoosier.
Oh, Laney. Yep. Oh, Laney.
I know why he said that. I'll tell you a story about this evening. I'll keep it PG too. So I was out checking the right of way, and someone got a little mad about it, and they decided to see who was who, and I had to have some words with someone, and they didn't like it, and we basically just said have a nice day and left. But anyway, yeah, that's why he's saying that.
Michelle Reiser, who's obviously, you know, one of the brainchilds and main forces behind Wheeling for Hope there, says, hey guys.
Hi.
Freddie Abe says, we still need a mini bike rally.
Yes, let's do that.
I'm down with that. That'd be fun.
125 cc or less.
A mini bike and scooter rally would be sweet.
Dude, what would be sick? And here's a dream I've had, was to do a loop of the outside border of the whole state.
That would be interesting.
Now, not like off-road. Obviously, it would be paved, but and give people like 48 hours to do it. Not like trying to race against the clock and kill themselves, but I think that'd be fun.
Michelle also says, let's bring it to Wheeling for Hope, Freddie. So we're going to have a scooter rally at Wheeling for Hope.
Hey.
Jeff Williams. Hey, Jeff, how are you, buddy? He says, man, I would love to be able to do this. Apply, bub. Apply. Get that XJ applied into the summer run.
So
I don't want to be the only one.
If you're curious about where to go, so if you go to Backroads of Appalachia and you look at our events, it's in our event section, 24 Hours of Appalachia, Miners and Loggers Delight.
That'll work. I don't need another hobby, but Gambler does tempt me.
Do it.
It's a good time. That's Beth Powell. Let's see. Michelle also said Pittman will do it, Jed.
Yes, he will, and he better. But he has to get SPV plates because he can't play ball if he doesn't have SPV plates. So anybody that's listening that has a side-by-side, you've got to have SPV plates to play ball with any of our events.
Yeah. Chad Snyder says, not a B, just sensitive. That was when he's talking about, I think you said you were crying there earlier.
I'm in touch with my emotions.
Jeff Williams also says, heart goes out to you, Jed Smith, and what a great way to help. And that was when we were talking about the charities there. Oh, let's see. Our buddy Rob and Lisa did the rally in their ZR2 Blazer.
Yeah.
So he says, I have an FMFQ silencer on his KX500, and he may do it on his Suzuki Van.
I'll tell you what, Rob, if you're going to do it on a Van, I'll do it on a TW200.
Please do that.
That'd be great.
You can do it.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Oh, yeah, without a doubt.
It would probably be comfortable.
Yeah.
Jeff says he really hopes he can come to the summer run, fingers crossed. Our buddy Mark Niggemeyer, owner of Mark's Molehill on the FDSR route, was asking where we find information about the summer rally. And whenever we get off here for the FDSR guys, I will share a link to the event, and it'll be easy to find for all of you guys on there as well. Let's see. Michelle was saying, Wheeling for Hope, September 27th to the 29th. So make sure you guys set aside a weekend for that to come ride with us and help out a great cause.
Sorry, I'm eating, guys. I haven't eaten all day.
That's all right, man. We drink beer on this. There ain't no issue.
You already had my 1.5 pork chops.
And Jeff Williams says, thank you, guys. Yeah, man.
Thank you, Jeff.
Really good stuff. So yeah, Jed, if you want to stay with us on here, we'll do everybody's favorite side of the show. A little had to layer down.
Did you run into some clippings? Did Barb take the kids? Well, Hoss, maybe you had to lay her down.
Tonight's Had to Lay Her Down is brought to you by the good folks over at where to go? Oh man, got too much stuff pulled up here now. Jawbone Channel. These guys kind of do a compilation of funny crashes and everything. I'm not sure what this guy's plan was. I think they pushed the bikes out on the edge of the rocks to possibly take some pictures, and this guy refused to get any water clippings in his shoes to recover his bike. So we'll let this play.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Look at it one more time. Yeah, put the bike in gear. Get out of there. I love how the guy that's sitting there beside him is like kind of stuck. He's like, I can't move. If I get wet, I'm going to get wet, or I'm going to get a face full of XR250 there too. So
I gave that fish a Honda. Fishes love Hondas.
All right, Jed, anything else you want to touch on or promote while we're still here on the show?
Well, a couple things coming up. So April 5th, we're going to have a cruise in and car show, and that's open to all motorized vehicles, bikes, cars, whatever. April 5th in Hinton. That'll be like a hangout, just chill with the boys type of thing. And then in May, we have Topless on the Hellbender, which is like an overland type thing. It's, again, a fundraiser for the Children's Home Society. And in June, we will have the Bigfoot four-wheel drive adventure in Braxton County. Braxton and Webster both. So we partner with the Bigfoot Festival to help them out with the motorized side of things.
That's cool.
So that'll be fun.
Yeah.
And then July's here.
Yep. That's time for the rally. It'll be coming up before you know it, man.
I can't wait.
I'm already kind of nervous about making sure the 304 is all set up and ready to roll. So,
Yep.
Last but definitely not least, let's go through some industry news here real quick. BSA is returning to the United States. This is something I didn't even realize, but Indian manufacturer Mahindra actually bought the rights to BSA back in June of 2021, and they debuted their Gold Star bike back in early 2022. As far as we're concerned over here in the United States, they're currently going through safety and emissions testing to release the bikes here on our side of the pond. Retro styling, looks like a BSA straight from the early 60s. It does have a liquid cooled motor with a top speed of 103 miles per hour. So,
wow.
Yeah. Kind of excited to see all brands come back, man, like that. Harley Davidson's 2023 sales numbers took a dip, but their profit margins are up. like you were saying off air, Trevor, they kind of went the route of Toyota. Let's offer our most expensive and
Toyota, Ford, every auto manufacturer will build nothing but top trim levels and sell
sell less of them.
Yeah.
That's kind of what Harley did with that. Their touring, their large cruiser, and their trike segment resulted in a 13.6 increase in profits over their 2022 fiscal year. So
good for
will
them.
they survive? I don't know. We'll see.
Enjoy it while it lasts.
Last but not least, tickets are going to go on sale March 1st for Chris Burke's 2024 Blackwater Adventure Rally. Look for a link to register for his event here coming up on the social medias, and we'll be sure to share that on FDSR as well. Another great event in West Virginia for motorcycle stuff.
Absolutely.
All right, man. Well, Jed, thanks for coming on tonight, buddy. We really appreciate it, and we look forward to all the events we got to work for together here coming up this year. Thanks again to everybody tuning in tonight, and we'll catch you guys actually live Friday at 10 o'clock. We will be at the West Virginia Adventure Travel Day.
Yes.
Tallboys and technical difficulties. We'll see how well this goes, but look for us down there to obviously promote FDSR and touch on some other stuff and do a little bit of a live show, highlighting everything else going around in the state of West Virginia. So we're looking forward to that.
Sick. All right, guys, I can't wait to see you guys Friday or Thursday, really. I guess we'll be hanging out Thursday night possibly, but it's been a pleasure, and I'm so glad to hang out with you all, and thank you for the platform.
Yeah, we appreciate it,
man. We appreciate you coming on. All right. Well, with that, we'll catch you guys Friday morning. Thanks for tuning in.
Cheers.